People want to get in here. Okay. And you can eat in here if you're careful. That's fine. I know I'm getting hungry. And it's only 11:25. It's all that smell of fried food. I can't. I know these people. They're very nice people. So I know Cliff, and I think I met Maggie. Hey, Cliff, are you there?
I am, Paul. Was just getting on. Can't hear you now.
Sorry. Now you can hear me, right?
Yep, got you line clear. You got me?
Yeah. So we're actually, we're getting some people coming in. We got a couple of scout groups. So
Good.
my job is though to get them in here, which might be a bit of a challenge, but either way, I'm recording this because I might with your permission, use parts of it for my girls in science in the summer. So
Sure, absolutely.
yeah. So how is the weather down there?
It's not terrible yet. I think it's still building up.
Yeah.
We got through the first couple bands, so
Yeah.
we'll see. How's it been up for you guys so far?
Right now we're in a lull where there's not
Okay.
much. But one of the major routes to get here has a tree down, and it's
Oh, wow.
blocked. It's on the power line, so that was our bit of excitement. So
it's not good. Was that on 322?
It was on Airport Road.
Oh, on the airport road. Okay,
But
gotcha.
really, we're on Airport Road.
Yeah, you guys are. Yeah, you got to go
Some
in the
people have to
driveway.
go around, but all right. Is this everybody, Cliff?
Now waiting on one more, Lauren Rainier.
Okay.
Actually, she may have joined. Yeah, she's on now. I see her on now. So excellent.
So I'm gonna go give a 5-minute call and see if we can get some folks here, and I'll be right back.
All right, excellent. Morning, Steph.
Hey, Cliff, how are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing okay. I woke up with a migraine again this morning, unfortunately, but
Oh, geez, you poor soul.
yeah, it's just this weather. It's just this weather. It just triggers it.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
not.
gosh, we all got the memo. Gray sweatshirt.
except for me.
Gray
But that's
sweatshirt,
okay. I
blonde
don't fit.
hair.
Yeah, that's all
That's so
right.
funny.
I don't fit. So
I don't know, but I'm
long,
glad you
long,
guys do.
long as the girls look the same, that's all that matters, you know.
Mm. What is going on? Oh, my video just popped off. Hold on a second. There we go.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard what Paul said when he first got on there, but I think we made the right decision because there was a tree down on the airport road and there's power lines.
Oh, is that what
on
he was
top
saying?
of
I
it.
came in halfway through that conversation, but I knew it had to be something not
Yeah,
so great.
yeah.
So
Yeah, he said he was gonna just round up some of the students and then we get going. And I just texted you all. I'll start. I'll introduce everybody, and then each of you can talk for a little bit about yourself, and then I'll go into the questions, and then we'll go through it that way. So
Sounds good.
I'm going to be tackling moderating a panel next Friday. I
oh,
think
are you?
it's next
Oh, cool.
Friday. Yeah, I think it's next Friday. Is it? No, no. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead in time. I'm just trying to like
It's all right, Steph.
shoot. Oh my goodness. Yeah, just time. Time that it's October 6th. It was one of the AvStem things that Lindsay had going on.
Oh,
So
cool. Okay.
We're just gonna hold for a minute and then we'll
okay.
start.
Okay.
Okay. Take your time, Paul.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here on Girls in Aviation Day. We're supposed to get a woohoo. And of course, it's also torrential downpour day. So fortunately, those two things coincided. So we're not going to do much to do. Cliff, if you would, could you introduce your team for us?
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. And thanks, everybody. Welcome to be with you today virtually. Sorry we couldn't be there in person due to the weather, but next time for sure. So my name is Cliff Johnson. I am a rotorcraft safety research lead and an engineer, and it's my pleasure to moderate this panel for you today on careers in aviation and with three wonderful young ladies that I work with, that I have the pleasure of working with at the FAA, and I'm going to introduce them right now, and I'll let them talk a little bit about themselves and their background, and then we'll get into the panel. I'm going to start with Maggie Mayfield.
Hi. So just like talk about my background, or I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're muted, Cliff.
Sorry, always one dime in the jar, right? Like the swear jar for the mute jar. Yeah, just a couple, minute or so about yourself and your background, and then we'll rotate through. So.
Okay, yeah. So I graduated from Rowan with my bachelor's in physics. I have my commercial pilot's license. I work on F-16 avionics for the Air Force, and I work with the rotorcraft safety team with Cliff.
All right, excellent, Maggie. Stephanie.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Or it's that weird time frame, 11:30ish. You're not sure whether it's morning or afternoon. But my name is Stephanie Stead, and I'm a computer scientist with the Aviation Research Division at the William J. Hughes Technical Center in Atlantic City. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science and information systems from Stockton University. I graduated there in 2019. And I started my career with the FAA as an intern in their Gateways internship program in the summer of 2017. Um, I didn't always start out with Cliff's group and the rotorcraft safety research team, but I've gone through a number of different jobs. I've worked with the portfolio management branch and done some programming projects with them. And then in 2019, I kind of shifted over to our software and systems branch, which is where Cliff was. And it was kind of like a whole new world. I knew nothing about aviation research or no background in aviation, prior to my internship. So I learned a lot very quickly. And I had a fantastic mentor in Cliff, and he really kind of wanted me immersed in the work that was going on. So he provided me with a lot of opportunities to soak up as much as I could. And then after graduation, I was offered a full-time position in the software and systems branch, and I currently work in the data science and cybersecurity section. So a lot of the work that I do is with data management with our enterprise information management platform, also known as EIM, because we have to have an acronym for everything in the FAA. You know how it goes. But I've done a lot of project coordination and management and working with different individuals across all lines of business for that project. And now I'm currently working with our cybersecurity data science team on a number of different projects where we work with aviation industry stakeholders, as well as academic institutions like MIT. So apart from all that, I do a lot of work with Cliff and his team with rotorcraft safety, work on a lot of outreach. I'm part of our employee engagement team here at the technical center. So I'm kind of all over the place, but it's a lot of fun and it's very rewarding.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie, for that, a great introduction. And then last but not least, Lauren.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I don't know how I'm going to follow up after Steph and Maggie, but like Cliff said, my name is Lauren Rainier. I have been with the FAA now for about 5 years. I followed a similar path to Steph. I was an intern for a few months first, and then after I graduated from Stockton University in 2018, I became full-time. My position is a safety and occupational health specialist. And I like to say in simple terms that I keep the people safe that work on airplanes, that build fuel for, find out different fuel and fabrics and different components of airplanes. So we just have a lot of stuff that's going on here. So I like to say that I like to keep people safe that are working the hard work at the FAA. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Okay, and that's a full-time job when you got me on your team. You know that.
Exactly.
So sure.
Yep.
Anyhow, all right, cool. So one last thing about me for those that don't know, I'll just say my background. So even though I said I was a the rotorcraft research lead, like Maggie, I also went to Rowan. My degree was in mechanical engineering a while ago, and I have bachelor's of science there. And I was always interested in aviation, transportation, defense, things of that nature. I like to say planes, trains, and automobiles. Always enjoyed all of those things. And I think probably the aviation side, I probably owe to my mom, because when I was a little kid, she would take me to the airport and would watch the planes take off and land, have lunch and everything. And that was near the house. So it was a little, Littlefield Millville Airport has, GA planes that would take off, the little small planes. And I really, enjoyed that and everything. Never thought I'd ever want to be a pilot or anything, or get involved in drones or anything. That didn't exist back then. But it's, I think somehow maybe that got into me. So I think, the fact that the folks are here today, for this Girls in Aviation Day, I think that's great. Any of these events that get people engaged in all the possibilities of aviation. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, because as you've heard, all of us have different backgrounds of how we got into the field, and how we got there. Some of us wanted to fly from an early age. Others maybe not necessarily, but there's not one little thing. It's you can be a pilot, controller, you can be any types of things. So with that in mind, as I said, to sort of lead into this, my background and what I did, I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to work on things. I like science, math, and those type of things. But for each of you, and I'll start with Lauren, Did you always know what you wanted to major in college? Did you know you wanted to be in a technical field, or did you change your mind as you started? And was aviation ever something that you thought about, growing up?
Thanks for that question, Cliff. No, I never thought that aviation was going to be in my future. I originally went to school to be a speech pathologist, which is, the healthcare field, completely different realm than what I'm doing now. But I kind of, transitioned over, from being a speech pathologist major to public health. And that's where I'm at now. It was kind of a simple transition instead of, caring about one specific group and taking care of one specific group. It's more broad now, and taking care of the safety of a big group of people. So yeah, no, I didn't always know I was going to be in aviation, but the work that we do at the technical center is I'm speechless because the amount of work that we do is amazing. And, I'm so happy to be part of this big organization that does so much from so many different angles, and all of the great people that I work with. So yeah, it's great. I hope I answered the question. All right.
Yeah, you did. No, I think it's great. And Stephanie, I know you said your path was, you didn't expect to be in aviation either. You just kind of found it. But maybe you could talk about, did you always know you wanted to be in computers and you wanted to work on that, or was there a different path for you?
Yeah, so very similar to Lauren, I kind of had a different idea. Well, I guess hers is still in the realm of public health, or dealing with people, but mine was completely separate from the world of computers and computer science, right? I actually have a background in art and design, so that's initially what I wanted to go to school to do. And I mean, it kind of evolved over time, where from graphic design, I wanted to build websites. I've always had computers in my life, so I do love computers, and I loved working with computers, and I've always, I've worked with computers, built computers, all that kind of good stuff. Video games. It's the whole world of technology. It's always been one that I've had in my life. But as far as what I wanted to do for a career, it wasn't anything related to coding or programming. I really didn't know anything about that side of things. So I have a background in art, so I've taken all the art courses and everything, and design classes. But then when I was in community college, I met a professor there, and she worked for IBM in the 1970s, and it was actually an intro to computers course, and she kind of I looked at her as kind of a mentor figure, and she kind of urged me to look at going into, the field of computer science. So that's eventually how my path kind of went down that road. I started taking more programming courses, and I really liked it. So here I am today. It led to that.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we're really thankful that you went that direction, that you wound up with us and everything. So last, to bring me to Maggie, I think Maggie, unlike the others, you always wanted to have a career in aviation. You always wanted to fly, knowing you and everything. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, and what kind of led you down the path of physics, and where you're at today.
Yeah, so I've always known that I've wanted to be a pilot, but I never knew that I'd be working at the FAA. So that's a lot of fun. I met you, Cliff, on an accident when we were flying for our instrument rating, and since then it's just been a whole bunch of fun. I never really knew what went into flying other than me fixing jets and flying airplanes. But getting to see like everything at the FAA that also goes into flying, and like all the technical aspects and everything has been like really rewarding and fun and interesting. But yeah, I've always wanted to go into aviation, and I majored in physics just because I love aerodynamics, and that was the closest I could get to it. So, yep.
Awesome. And one thing, and I know the parents will probably hate me for saying this, right? But to the kids out there, right? Play your video games. I'm going to tell you to play your video games, because I'm proof of that. And I think a lot of the folks here and everything, some of the hand-eye coordination, flying drones, and different things, that sort of has paid off for us with the simulation facilities that we have. And we do a lot of work in simulation, modeling of different types of airframes, as Maggie mentioned, the flight models, different things. We use virtual augmented reality. And there's really a need for people that are technical, and being a gamer does help to a certain extent. So I think that's just something that it's the new wave of everything. Obviously. So okay, so stay with Maggie here, and then I'll go back to the others. During your time in either high school or college, what clubs or activities did you participate in, and did any of those sort of have an influence on maybe having you go towards a career in aviation?
So unfortunately, I didn't get to do any clubs or activities in college, just because I was serving full time in the Air Force and going to school and doing flight training. So I didn't really have any of the free time to do any of those clubs or activities, but I really wish I got to. But I mean, I do enjoy serving in the Air Force. I'm still doing it and I love it and I don't regret that at all. So I think that's been very rewarding as well.
Well, that's a thing on its own, and that's a full-time, effort. I still amaze me as to how you did all that, get your rating and do all that, while you're going to school and everything. That's just very impressive. So for Stephanie and Lauren, I know you guys weren't really focused per se on a career in aviation, but were there any same kind of question to both of you, from the clubs or activities perspective? Was there anything that um, you know, kind of pushed you in a certain way towards, the graphic design or computing or anything like that, really in the STEM field, the science, technology, engineering, and math? Was there anything that kind of had an influence on you, other than the story that I know you mentioned, Stephanie, about your professor at college?
Yeah. So for me, it was I had the opportunity to be in a number of like different organizations, you know, when I was still looking at doing, graphic design and web development. I joined a number of different organizations outside of school, because they really didn't have too many opportunities outside of the people in your classes kind of getting together and talking about, what are the newest trends in the field of graphic design, that kind of stuff, and then sharing your projects with each other. Um, but I joined, there's like an association of Photoshop professionals. Adobe Photoshop is the leading graphics tool for design. So that was a big organization. And then as I kind of progressed with the computer science side of things, I joined computer clubs and stuff that were at the community college, and then also Stockton had a computer club as well. Um, but I think just getting into those types of, even if they aren't like a huge club or anything like that, even if it is just a bunch of people just getting together and talking about a topic that you guys all, are interested in, all right, that you're working towards with your degree, just, you know, interfacing with people like that, you can learn a lot in those types of situations. And, as I moved on to a full-time career with the FAA, I joined IEEE, which I forget what the whole acronym stands for. Do you happen to know? It's like the
Yeah, it's Institute
engineers
of Electrical and
and
yeah, I
eh,
some other
something
computer
engineers,
engineering. Yeah, that's
engineers.
yeah.
But basically, they kind of it sounds more specific than it is. They have a lot of opportunities for anyone in all types of engineering fields, computer science fields. You can interface with so many different individuals, and that's opened a lot of doors. Just being involved in that organization. So,
Nice.
yeah, yeah, I would recommend joining a professional society if you get the chance.
Okay. Lauren, any kind of same thing to you? Any professional societies or extracurricular things or whatnot that you think maybe may have helped prepare you for where you're at today?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, when Maggie and Steph were talking, I was like, oh my goodness, it was like 10 years ago already since I was in high school. I was thinking about the different things that I did in high school. I remember Honor Society being a big one, and I think that that really helped me step into like a foot of leadership and be able to talk to different people and different administrators at the school that I was in, and stuff like that. So I think just really any type of club where you can get in there and feel like that you're making a difference and like take a leadership role, I think is always great, especially when you're young. So yeah, and then I also, like Steph, I was influenced by a professor at college. So I think that it's always good to talk to your different professors, especially if there's one that you click with. They'll really be a huge influence on your life if you let them. So
All right, cool. All right, now this one, being that you all work with me and that, no 2 days are ever alike, as everybody knows on here. In today's world, we tend to, even though we have a certain job description, it might be as a computer scientist, or it might be as a pilot, or it might be, avionics technician, or, occupational safety health specialist and everything. We all wear multiple hats and we do different things. And, that's probably a lot the way that I operate in different things. So let me ask you a twofold question, open to anybody. What courses, either in high school or college, did you find that were the most beneficial for preparing you for your current role? And what experience of the limited experience that you all have outside of school or college do you think you found was the most beneficial for your current job? And open to anyone, whoever wants to start.
I'll go first. I actually found that a few of my electives were pretty helpful, in college, especially because I was able to talk to and get different experiences from all different types of people from different majors. So I think that like some of the soft skill electives, like I talked about leadership, there was a leadership course that I remember taking in school for it was actually a leadership, women in leadership. So that was a fun course to take. So I think that any type of, I specifically enjoy this more of the soft skill courses to like, kind of build up that emotional intelligence to be able to talk to all different types of people throughout your career. So
those communication skills too are really important,
exactly.
aren't they? As
Yes.
interfacing with people with different backgrounds, different skills, different knowledge sets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd also add on to that. You make a good point. The communications courses, technical writing, number one for me. Any type of writing courses, because when you when you're in your undergrad and you're writing, papers and stuff, that's a little bit different than what happens when you get into the, quote unquote real world situation. Basically, you're constantly writing emails, you're communicating with people. So any type of technical writing course is really gonna help you. It's gonna help you with presentations, it's gonna help you with resume building, it's gonna help you it's multifaceted, any kind of technical writing course. So I highly recommend those. But in addition to that, public speaking, highly recommend that as well, because you may think that you can't do it. I was one of those people. I had a very severe problem with stage fright when it came to public speaking. But the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but it's really the truth. And a silver lining with the COVID situation, we had the opportunity to do these kind of virtual situations, which helped me kind of break out of the box and not feel so nervous about doing these types of things. So that provides an opportunity, these hybrid kind of situations. So that helps too. But in coursework, definitely take a public speaking course. It'll do you wonders, honestly.
Okay, great. Maggie, did you want to add anything? I know you've got a lot of aviation experience outside of the job. Do you feel that really helped you for some of the stuff that you're doing now, besides inventory, of course?
Yeah, so I definitely think getting like all my different pilot's licenses has helped me a lot at the FAA, just because I can take that knowledge and apply it to pretty much any job and understand what's going on. And then also all my time in the Air Force has also helped me. And then I would also say, as far as in classes to take in high school, I found it really helpful to take classes that were like all my different interests, so I could rule out what I did want to do and what I didn't want to do in the future. So I really wanted to be an engineer at first, like Cliff, but I took a bunch of engineering classes and found out like that was not for me. I really just enjoyed physics the most. So I definitely say taking the different classes of what you think you want to do helps you determine what you actually want to do in the future, because it might not be necessarily what you think it is.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And one thing I'll add on to that as well is that, and this sort of ties across all of the aspects here, is the days of a job where you're just siloed and you're just doing something, whether you're just coding all day or you're doing an engineering design of a building or something or whatnot. I'm not going to say they don't exist. They do exist, but they're very rare. Most of the way that people work today and everything is you're constantly working with others, and you may have your expertise, but you're functioning as part of a team. So I think it's really important that those skills that the group talks about, being able to communicate, being able to to speak or present your thoughts or your ideas, because you can be the best engineer or the best physicist or the best programmer out there, but if you can't communicate your ideas to other people, then you're going to be very limited in what you can do and the impact that you can have. And that's true with everything in life. And I think it's also a little bit cliche too. But I think Maggie's a good example of this and everything, right? Given her background with the military and everything, just some of the structure, the ability for time management. I mean, it feels like all these days, right, we have a million things on our plate, and what can we do, what we can't we do, being able to prioritize, being able to shift priorities as things change. We, even though we work for the FAA, we work for a very dynamic organization. We're working to try and advance like helicopter safety, so our priorities shift, and they change based upon whatever is happening in the industry today, whether it's a given accident or an incident. So I think that's one of the things that is just key to keep in mind for everyone as you go forward. But certainly, yeah, I think that's a good thing that you take some of that stuff. I'll just share one thing about me, and then we'll go on to the next question. But when I was in school, one of the things that I took was a journalism course, and I enjoyed that and everything, but I found out right then and there that I didn't want to be, I didn't want to write for a newspaper, or I didn't want to do anything like that, right? I liked science and I liked math, and I wanted to be an engineer. So I think, Maggie's 100% right on there, that if especially when you're in high school, elementary school, you don't necessarily know exactly what you want to do. Some people do. Great. There's nothing wrong with that, but kind of explore, try a few different things. But know that, aviation is a possible path. There's a lot of different things, and we'll talk about some of the ones as we go a little bit further into this. Before we do that, though, let me just shift gears a little bit and everything. And you all have been very accomplished in everything that you've done, even in your very short careers that you've had here with the FAA and everything. But in that time, other than dealing with me, okay, what's a challenge that some of you have faced in during your career or during your path to get to where you are at now, and how did you overcome it? And Maggie, why don't we start with you?
Okay, yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges for me at least has been finding the time and not letting my own personal goals go on like the back burner. Whether that be like fitness, education, anything. I take time out of my day to schedule in that stuff, because if I don't, it won't happen. So for me right now, it's like studying for my Air Force test. I set aside some time every day to do that. And I just think it's really easy to get wrapped up in your work and forget about all those personal goals. So I think it's really important to prioritize yourself along with your work.
All right, excellent. Stephanie?
Yeah, I think I don't necessarily view it as a challenge, because I view it as anything that is considered a challenge can be an opportunity, right? For growth or progress, right? A learning experience. But outside of my core duties in terms of the work that I do as in the many different areas that I do work. I also mentioned that I'm part of our employee engagement team here at the Technical Center, and I kind of stepped outside my comfort zone and took on a lead role in that group. And one of the things that was a challenge was dealing with different, as soon as I came onto the group, was dealing with different types of personalities, that sometimes people clash when they're expressing their opinions or ideas, but learning how to um manage that situation and kind of diffuse the tension between different individuals who have different ideas about different things. Just kind of taking on that role and being able to manage those kind of situations I viewed as a challenge because I'd never done it before. I mean, I'd had classes in project management, where you pretend that you're a manager and you have to deal with problematic employees and things like that, but actually dealing with it in a real life situation is completely different than a simulated version in a class. So that was a challenge, but I was able to work through it, and everybody seemed fine with everything, with the outcome. So that was a challenge for me, but I think I was able to use that as an opportunity for growth as well. So
Okay, great. Lauren?
Sure. So I would say one of the challenges, I'll say also I'll echo Steph's sentiments, the different personalities for sure. I'm also on the employee engagement team with Steph. So we deal with, many different types of people and different wants and needs. So that can be a challenge sometimes. But I would also say, since this, we're talking about girls in aviation, I think being a woman in aviation in a male dominated field is probably, not a challenge, but an opportunity, right? To you almost have to prove yourself. But I think just the idea of, just being a woman and showing that, you deserve to be there and, having your voice heard in a room. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I'll just say, I think I have the opposite challenge because I think I have many women on my team, right? It's hard to get a word in edgewise for me, right? But anyway, I tease, no, but it's great. We have everybody on there. Everybody does a great job on our group. One thing I'd like to, kind of, go into here now is we started to touch on it earlier. But we've got probably a lot of folks there, a lot more, that may be watching this at some point in the future that are either in high school, elementary school, or maybe they've just graduated from college and they're looking for a career in aviation. If they are looking to do something in aviation, what advice would you give to let's say a new college graduate or somebody just starting out on that path? What are the things that they should do, irrespective, I guess, kind of whatever major they want to look at. I realize it's different if they want to be a pilot versus a controller versus a scientist versus an engineer, whatever. But just in general, what are some things that you would give them advice, knowing that the path that all three of you went through? And I'll start with you, Lauren.
Yeah, I would say most importantly, keep your mind open, right? Just go into something not with tunnel vision. I would say, have an open mind to learn new experiences. Maybe you're going to go into a little bit of a different route than you thought that you were going to go into. But yeah, I would just say keep your horizons broadened. So.
All right, great. Steph?
yeah, I would say, for those who, even if you're in college at this point, look out for internships and internship opportunities. Look for a mentor, in the field that you're interested in. Find someone that kind of resonates with you and reach out to them and have a conversation, because you never know what can come out of that, trying to make that connection. And just talk to people in the field that you're interested in, because that'll give you insight into the real life situations that people deal with in specific careers. Find opportunities, talk to people, so that way you can learn more about it and inform yourself. Is this really the path that I want to go down? Is this something that I'm actually interested in? So just learning right? Just taking the time to make those connections. So.
Okay, Maggie.
I would definitely say that anything's possible if you're determined enough. I've had so many people tell me I can't do certain things. I've had professors tell me I couldn't graduate because I was in the military, stuff like that. But just if you're determined, you can make anything happen regardless of what anyone says.
Excellent, excellent advice. All right, cool. Well, I think we'll kind of let's open it up. Paul, if you're there, and if we have any questions from the audience, I'd like to give some time for the folks there to ask myself and the panelists if they have anything.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. I'd like to share that communication, being a theater person and someone who teaches public speaking, I agree 100%. Being able to communicate is critical, and being a good public speaker is something that you can get better at. You may not be as good as Cliff, but you'll get better at it if you practice. So, does anybody have any questions? I don't see any questions right now. Yeah, I thought it was very thorough. I mean, I like the way you laid that out, Cliff. It was really good. Now, the one question that I had, you kind of answered, but I'm gonna ask you if you each could answer in 1 or 2 sentences. So brevity, right?
Not my strong suit, by the
I know,
way.
Cliff. I know. Well, Cliff, I'm gonna give you 3 sentences since Nita. If you were giving someone advice about going into an aviation career, whatever that may be, what's like the one thing you would tell them? That one just little piece of gold that would help them achieve their goal. Just 1 or 2 sentences.
All right, I'll let the girls go first.
Don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone.
That's good, Stephanie. Good, yeah.
I would say be determined and make it happen.
Spoken like a true Air Force person. Like it. And Lauren?
I would say don't let anyone come in the way of you accomplishing your dreams.
Great. I love those. Those are great. Yeah. Well,
Okay, and I'll
yeah,
take a
Cliff,
shot
yeah.
at it as well. I would say, just reach for the stars. Right, sky's the limit. It really is.
Love that. Love that. Well, thank you for joining us today. I I really appreciate it. I learned a little bit, and reinforce some things that I already knew. But it's always good to hear other people's perspective and points of view. And we do need more girls in STEM and aviation. So that's one of my things that I always preach as I go out and talk to different groups. So well, thank you so much. I hope that you're safe. Stay safe as you're down close to the worst part of the storm. Thank you so much for taking time out. And Clip, thank you for putting this together. It was very useful. I've recorded it, and so with your permission, I may use it for parts of our STEM camp later next year. So
Yeah.
thank you all
Shouldn't be an
very much.
issue. I'll run it by Lee. I'll run it by Lindsay. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yes, and thank you all for coming. And that's it for now. Thanks everybody. Thanks for stopping in.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you guys.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, thank you.